Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 380, Resonance. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host, and I'm here today in my home recording. This is my new spot to record for all of September for some reason, and here with my producer, Mr. Sean Kilgore, today.
Hello. I'm also in my home, but in the same spot. Right. I'm always in. All right. Well, welcome, friends. That's episode 380 of the Experience of the Soul podcast with our friend Cynthia Alice Anderson. Today, we're wrapping up our 3-week series on the 3 R's of spirit. Just as a reminder, we started with remembrance. We moved into resilience. And today, we are talking about resonance. But first, it's time once again for This Week in Spiritual History. And this first one, I think you're going to love because it is the Feast of Saints Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, which is also known as Michaelmas. So this week we celebrate the feast of the Archangels. So Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. The very name Michael comes from the Hebrew Michael, which means who is like God. Basically, it's a rhetorical question that reminds us that no one compares with God, right? In Christian tradition, Michael is honored as the defender of truth, and Gabriel is the bringer of good news. And as the musical theater kid inside me was like, blow, Gabriel, blow. Okay. And Raphael is as a guide and a healer. So now the feast, their feast invites us to remember that we are not alone, that that spiritual messengers surround us at all times, helping us to stay in tune with God's presence and purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't worked with the angels much, my friends, do it. Ask for their help and their support. And it's amazing how much spiritual support we have that we forget to call on. So, I love celebrating the angels.
Yes, and I would, if you're interested in that, friends, I would recommend going to our YouTube channel and checking out the Monday night talk that we did that's titled Angels and Demons, where we go into some pretty big depth about the angels.
That was a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe we'll bring that topic into the podcast at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'd love to do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. September 22nd through the 29th is Rosh Hashanah and Navratri is how you say it, Navratri. So this week falls amid multiple sacred observances. Rosh Hashanah in the Jewish New Year invites a renewal and deep attunement to God's presence, and Navaratri, which is the Hindu festival honoring the divine feminine, inviting a spiritual harmony through worship and celebration. Now these overlapping rhythms of renewal sort of echo the resonance that we seek in our spiritual lives.
Beautiful, beautifully said. And, I just want to make sure everyone knows, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago in the podcast, that in fact, in Christianity, we most often refer to God as Father, the way Jesus did. Unity is unusual in that we say Mother, Father, God, and the, religions, for instance, Hinduism, often, if not always, refers to God as Mother, right? And it's a difference in our tradition, but a beautiful aspect. And so if you've never done any, work or exploration into other religions, I encourage you to, because what you'll see, rather than a lot of difference, yes, there are some differences. You'll also see a lot of connections and sameness that I feel like, Sean, every time you do one of these, we see in all the religions.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a through line for sure through all of it. September 30th is the memorial of St. Jerome. As early as the very next day, the church remembers St. Jerome, whose tireless translations of scripture into the Latin Vulgate opened the way for countless souls to encounter God's voice. His life invites us to resonate, there's the word again, resonate, with the divine word, moving hearts through faithful devotion and clarity.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. So just for fun, friends, September 29th is also World Heart Day, reminding us that spiritual resonance begins in our hearts, where love, compassion, and connection beat the deepest.
Oh,
So,
wow. Beautiful.
Happy World Heart Day. Happy World Heart Day.
Happy World Heart Day. That
I'm
is
so glad
sweet.
our hearts are connected, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And finally, your reflection question for this week, friends, is we invite you. So this week, we're inviting you into deep resonance with messenger, word, ritual, and heart. Where is spirit guiding your heart to align more fully with divine love, courage, and insight this week?
Beautiful. Wow.
Sweet. Awesome. Friends, with that, let's talk about resonance. This is episode 380 of the Experience of the Soul podcast, Resonance.
Well, my friends, thank you for your patience on the 3 R's. And I keep thinking of more R words, Sean. It's I was going to see how long can I go with R's.
We could do a whole R series. R. But R. I know there's a World Pirate Day at some point in the year.
There's got to be. Yeah, there's got to be.
We should tie it in with that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, today is about resonance, and resonance for me is about energy. And I want to speak a little bit about what I mentioned earlier, the resonance even of different spiritual teachings. You know, in the Hindu tradition, you'll often see the symbol. It's called the Om symbol. It's spelled AUM, but you'll see it in Sanskrit. It's a very common symbol you see around yoga studios and ashrams and things like that. And the idea is that the Om, or Om, as you really say it, is the sound of creation itself. Like it is the beginning of all life. And in our Christian scriptures, we have in John 1, in the beginning was the Word. The Word in Greek is logos. You know, in other words, the sound. And in Genesis, of course, we see that God spoke into being. In other words, there's that sound again, that the Word is creative and creates a resonance. And I want you to think about, friends, that everything in your life, from the car you drive, to the device you're listening on, to the books you read, to the clothes you wear, are all made of the same energy. And so what we seek to do in our spiritual journey is align with the higher resonance. If there's one thing to think about today in your journey, it is, am I aligning with the higher resonance? Am I surrounding myself with people in a similar resonance? Or am I trying to go higher in my resonance and surrounding myself with people that are pulling me down all the time? And this is a very, important question to ask. And so I want you to think about all the things in your life, the things you buy, the things you own, the places you live, and think about when you walk in someplace, there is a resonance to that place. For instance, people walk into my home and often say how peaceful it is and how good it feels. I'm not surprised. With music, with meditation, lighting candles and sage, that brings a light, peaceful energy. However, if you go into a home where there's a lot of drinking and there's smoking and there's this kind of like stagnant heaviness to the energy, you can sense, without even putting a word on it, you can sense that there is a different resonance to the energy. And so part of our journey that I believe is very, very important. And this is jumping off of last week yet again, because we were talking about last week, this idea of, that we are resilient, that we are born to heal, to grow. And we often say, as my mug says, that we're here to grow, prosper, and evolve, right? So we're here to experience all the good God has for us. Well, to do that, we have to heal. And so many of us are healing on the psychological level, the mental level, and sometimes it's just the habit, the way we think about things, that we're having to release old behaviors and beliefs and adopt new ones and think about ourselves in a new way. As we said the first week of this series, to remember that we are holy. So if I'm in this state of remembrance that the Spirit of God lives in me, if I can remember that I am resilient, and as I face my story, as I heal and grow, that I move into this new awareness in my life. As my friend says, Richard Rogers, a minister, he would say a new awareness of God and life. Then I bring in a new resonance. So see how all of these ideas are related. First, I remember the Spirit of God lives within me. That's my remembrance. Then, as I do my deeper work and work in my mental, emotional stuff, maybe a family of origin stuff, I know that I am resilient and I can get to the other side. And as I get to the other side, time and time again, as I do deeper work and deeper work, my resonance goes up because I'm more aware of the God that I am, living more from love, living more from my spirit connection, and less from the wounded personality self. And I want you to think about, I thought about this for myself, and Sean, I'm by no means trying to put you on the spot, but sometimes I wonder if you feel the same, that, I was thinking about my own journey, even 20 years ago, and I was already a minister then, but I think I'm in a very different place emotionally and spiritually than I was 20 years ago. Would you say that's true for you?
100%.
Even 10 years ago, I'd say that's true for me too.
Yeah, even 5 years ago.
Even 5 years ago. Yeah, right. And would you say that your life has a different resonance than it did?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've also made a lot of different career choices, that have helped with that. And that's what I'm talking about. All of these choices carry with them energetic values, for lack of a better word. They're lighter in your experience, right?
Yeah, very much so. Can I ask real quick, because we hear people talk a lot about vibration. Do you consider vibration and resonance sort of the same thing?
Yeah, one and the same. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think we all, I've been around people that have a certain vibration, and there's so much joy just being around them. That's because of their vibrational reality. And so resonance comes if my vibration and your vibration are the same. That makes the resonance.
Yeah.
Right? It's like in music. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think that's cool. And I think everyone would agree that we resonate with each other,
we
right?
Do.
Yes.
We do. And we found
always
out.
Have. Yeah.
Always have. But I think it's interesting, as we've grown, our resonance has also grown. And we found out, as we know each other on different levels, we have that in common too. It's like another level of resonance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. I love that.
Yes, I love it too. And I love thinking about those ideas. Like when I meet new people, if something feels off, or I've just really learned to trust that, like maybe there's something I don't know, or maybe this is just not a long-term friendship for me. Maybe this is somebody I'm supposed to say support in the short term. And then there are other people, right when I meet them, I think I'm going to be a friend for life. I just know I'm going to love them.
Yep, I've definitely experienced that. I mean, it's like that old saying, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So there's either a specific reason that they're there, and when it's done, they're gone, or they're only there for like a certain amount of time, or
right.
For life.
Right.
I think it's interesting too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just how, because last week we were talking about, it was like World Kindness to Animals Day. I can't remember exactly how it's called, but how in tune dogs especially is really all I know, because I've never had a cat. I've never been a cat person, but how in tune dogs are with,
totally.
I mean, I've had dogs who, if someone who I can feel like their energy is not right,
Right.
or like this person is not going to be part of our
Right.
lives, and my dogs show that, like they know
it.
they know it. If it's not a
Yep.
good person, or if their vibration or their resonance is off, or something's wrong, or
Oh
I
yeah, the dogs are great energy reads for sure.
big time, which is
Hmm.
fascinating to me that
Hmm.
they're tuned in at that level.
Yes. Well, and think about it. See, dogs are not swayed by words. They only see behavior,
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
And
Yep.
they see, what we don't see. Uh, yeah, I worked with an animal communicator years ago for a troubled horse I was working with, and then when I was working with her, she goes, "And I also have a message from your dog." And I was like, "Okay." And that was, it was largely, and what her message was, interestingly, about my horse. She said she really, and I had told this animal communicator nothing, okay? And she said, well, and my horse's name was Star. And she said, well, Star wants you to know that she really appreciates your patience and kindness and how gentle you are with her, because no one had ever been gentle before.
uh,
And I had told her nothing about my horse, nothing. And she gave specifics. She said even the way you pick up her hooves to clean out her hooves, she loves it. And when you just lean into her instead of slapping her or picking it up hard, you just lean in and she lifts up her hoof and you clean it that way.
wow.
And then I was taking in essential oils. I was using lavender and peppermint, and she said she loves those oils. To please keep doing it. And stuff like that. So yes, animals are so dialed in to energy in a way humans are not. Mm.
It's fascinating. Yep.
Yes, I worked with a horse whisperer. That's what I call him. His name was Gary Woods. He'd never call himself that. He taught me how to move a horse just with energy. I could
Wow.
make a horse take a step or move over when I was, 15 or 20 feet away, by
Wow.
learning to manipulate the energy. He taught me to do that. And he said, think about it. A horse can feel a fly anywhere on his body. Humans can't do that. And I was like, you're right. He said they are so sensitive. And dogs are quite sensitive too. It's like you were saying about your friends, or if someone's crying and a dog will go like right over and get in their lap.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I had
Yep.
my dogs help me a lot in counseling. I had one help me the other day. Yeah. Yeah. So
What was the message from your dog that they put that person had for you? Do you remember?
Oh, I think it was something funny, like she likes going to work with you, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it
That's
was
so sweet.
it had been my mom's dog, and I was not very connected to it really. But then I thought one day maybe I should take her to work, and I was in a counseling session. She was a little Maltese. I've always had big dogs. And this little Maltese, somebody was crying. She went up and jumped in their lap, and the person goes, "This is exactly what I needed." So it started to be where on counseling days I would take her to work, and so that's what she wanted me to know, that she liked going to work.
I love that.
It was very sweet.
That's so great. That's so great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is all important because it's interesting you brought it up, because as we walk through life, we have friends or people come over, or let's say some of us are dating and we bring somebody to the house. It is important to note how your animals respond to that person, because they're
It's very
picking up
true.
things you don't see. Yeah.
Perry, when I first met Perry, and the first time I went to his house, he had told me, just be very careful with this one black dog that he had. His name was Cooper. And I guess, he had a history of, not trusting people and being very, skittish and whatever. And he had, just had some issues around that kind of stuff before. And when I walked into Perry's house for that first time, I'm telling you, that dog came right up to me, jumped up on me, gave me like love, and like welcomed me. And I was so close to that dog. He's
He's
not with
passed
us
now, though,
anymore.
right?
But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I've had that happen. Yeah. Many places I'll go do a home visit or something, and somebody will say, my cat never comes out, or my dog never comes out, and they just jump right in my lap. I go, it's just energy,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they sense when you're a safe person, Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So my friends, think about this, even with, the people you're around, the car that you drive, the places you go, even the place you work, like um even years ago I had to hire someone for a service and that I needed help with, and the energy um that I had to deal with after one of the visits, I said, this is not a resonance for me. I'm out of alignment with, this particular energy. And so I think it's really, really important to note that and to pay attention to it. And then when people are in resonance, then again, we pay attention to that and we try to do more of that. But I had a situation with one of my jujitsu instructors, and I've been doing jujitsu now, over 2 years. And one of my instructors, who I love dearly as a person and an instructor, and I had been working with him for quite a while, and I had mentioned that I wanted to do competition. And I asked him, if he could get me ready. He goes, and he said, "Oh yeah, you can, but I can, but I don't compete." And I thought, okay, if you don't compete, then maybe I need somebody else. So I sat with it and I thought, is what he can teach me in resonance with where I want to go? And so I spoke to him and I said, how would you feel about me, moving to this other female coach who competes all the time? He goes, I think that's a great idea. I really supported, or really appreciated rather, his support of my next steps. And he said, I think you should work with everybody here. You might want to work with the owner as well because of his, vast competition experience. And he said, I can't even go when you do compete because I run the school. And I thought, okay, so now that I work with her, there's a real resonance there. And the resonance is with my purpose and her skill. That's a resonance. And I have learned to trust if something doesn't feel quite right, don't force it if there's not a resonance. And my friends, this is hard to trust, especially if this idea is new to you. So I want to encourage you to try it on little things. Like if there's a decision you're making, even about how to drive to work or which grocery store to go to, like trust it. Which one feels like it's a resonance and brings you peace and joy? Which one, and you're not sure why. I know I have a dear friend who used to work part-time at the Pulse nightclub, and she was supposed to work the night there was a shooting there. And she was really guided the night before to not go into work. She said, I didn't know why, but I was guided not to go in. Something felt out of resonance for her, could have saved her life. So I want you to think about, are the people I've called into my life in alignment with where I am vibrationally? Do I feel a resonance? Do they do the things I do? Do they value the things I value? And I'm not saying they need to be exactly the same, but are they kind? Are they generous? Are they loving? If you're trying to live a spiritual journey and you're around people who are drinking and smoking and doing all kind of things all the time, that's not in alignment with where you want your life to be. And you're only going to be able to be around that so much, or it's going to start really bringing your vibrational reality down, because those things are low vibration activities. So that's really, really important to think about. And then to look at yourself and say, am I participating in life the way I want? Are some of the behaviors I'm doing low vibration? Is there a way I'm supposed to lift my own vibration? Maybe I'm not meditating enough. Maybe I'm not journaling and doing my own personal work. Am I dragging everybody down because I'm complaining all the times about my kid, my ex, my bills, whatever? Am I the one bringing everybody down? And I think this is an important thing to think about, because I think it is a part of your healing as we become more and more conscious. And my friends, we are seeking to be conscious beings. What we're seeking to do is to become more aware of how my behaviors, how my words and actions are impacting others. We want to be conscious of what we think and feel and what we do and say. And if what we are doing and saying are really different than what we think and feel, we need to take a look. We need to take a look. And if we're looking for somebody to blame, that's a low vibrational resonance. If we're taking responsibility, if we're seeking ways to be vulnerable, if we're seeking ways to heal and grow, those are high vibrational things. And then we want to call to ourselves other high vibrational people. So think about this as you go through your day, as you go through your work. And I think about it in many, many ways with people that work with me in my role in church, people that support me on my spiritual journey and my psychological healing journey. If there's not a resonance there, if we don't speak the same language, I have to go a different direction because I know what I need to heal and grow. So I'm always asking that question, is this a resonance or why am I feeling this energy? So I know if this energy starts feeling like there's a struggle, something's vibrationally out of balance. It's almost like in music when you have, it's like that minor second note. It's like a dissonance instead of a resonance. And what I'm going for in my life is resonance. I want to be around people who love God, who love each other, who are seeking to live a better life, who are seeking to be good parents, friends, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas for their families. I want people to be around people who are seeking to grow, prosper, and evolve, that they better their lives and better their lives for the people around them and give to the community at large. These are the people I want to be around. I don't want to be around people who are down all the time and drinking all the time and using all the time. I don't like that vibe. That's not my resonance. That's not my resonance. I came up out of that. The last thing I want to do is go back into it. So think about where am I in my journey? Am I where I want to be? Am I high vibing? Am I in resonance? That's my friend Faith Rivera loves that term, high vibing conversations. If we talk, she'll say, I can't wait for our high vibing conversation. And I love that. I love that. Yeah. So where are you on your journey? Take a look. Take a look. Take a look. Are the people in my life that I surround myself with, are they helping? Are they supporting? Are they lifting me up in my journey? Or are they bringing me down? And is it time to call new people into my life and journey that are going to support my next steps? Is there anything I need to release that is not in resonance with where I want to be? And this is a very, very important question to ask. So as we end this series, I want to remind you, week 1 was about remembrance. Again, remembering my nature is sacred, remembering I am holy, and no one can take that, no matter what has happened to me. At the very deep, deep level, God is within me. It's that Spirit of God that is real, that never changes. Number 2, to remember in my own journey, I am resilient, that I can heal. I can do the hard work of looking at my story. As I look at my story, rather than seeking to tell it everywhere, I seek to leap beyond my story into healing and transformation. And as I do that, I'm raising my vibrational awareness into a place of healing and wholeness. And finally, my friends, looking at where I am right now, am I being called to learn and grow and deepen my awareness? Am I called to release any behaviors or relationships that are not supporting my next steps? And am I in alignment with where I want to be? So, my friends, this is a great, great thing for your journey to think about. I think it's really going to support you. And remember all those things we talked about in the last show, taking those deep breaths, singing, praying, becoming still, really talking with God. And then if we need to use that creative word to help us move forward. Remember, sound is how it all started. The Hindus say it, the Christians say it, slightly different way, but the idea is we all come from this vibrational sound. So You are holy, my friends. You are meant to align with goodness, with wholeness, with God energy. And this is not only your birthright, it is your sacred call. So I thank you for joining me today. As always, it is a pleasure and a blessing to bring you the show. Sean and I are just always excited to be together, and I hope you're enjoying Sean's segments at the beginning. I think it is wonderful, the segment he's doing this week in spiritual history. Give us your feedback. Let us know if this is supporting you. And if you ever have any other ideas or suggestions or ways that we can support you better, we really do want to know, because we are so honored to bring you the show and these spiritual topics. So please know, my dear friends, I'm lifting you in prayer for God's highest and best in your life. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Blessings on the journey, my dear friends.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support the podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2025 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Sean Kilgore. A production of the Soul Works Group, Incorporated.